glad that you joined us today. A conversation between you and me. We appreciate your following us. Today we're going to have picked for our theme, putting a dent into the fat genes. You know what that means, don't you? We're all dieters all the time, and and it's probably been on and off for how many years that we can remember?
A lot of years in my case.
Yeah, a lot of
I
them.
mean, I remember going on a whole variety of diets in my lifetime. How about you? I mean,
yes.
you remember the
and I've lost, and then I gained, but I guess it's just when you get you get to the stage where you say, well, oh well, right now I don't care, I'll do it later, but your wellness depends on it. So
it can, and that'll help you lose weight, or getting sick or something will help you lose weight at our age. But it's difficult. But I remember years back trying to lose weight. I went on the Weight Watchers diet, and it did work. I mean, it did work for me, but it worked for my husband better. We were on it at the same time, and he would lose weight so fast, but I was a lot slower.
I had a skinny husband too.
Yeah, isn't that irritating?
But the thing is that everything has changed. So all of our eating is really kind of geared to convenience.
Yes.
And you can put it in the microwave. You could do this, you do that with it,
Yeah.
and it is more chemical. I mean,
Yeah.
if it's low calorie or low carbs or something, they've put in something in there that distinguishes that, and we're
You always
eating
know.
things differently.
Yeah, and you could the labels. I mean, they tell you how many carbs, how much. Now, when you're older, I've been told by my children, and I'm sure you have too, we must eat a lot of protein. Older people need protein. So I have gone out and bought myself, I have a whole lot of protein bars or protein drinks. And I'm always looking at now 20 whatever it is grams of protein is good, right? So
Yeah.
that I try and get the biggest one. Now, if I'm wrong, let me know, and then the carbs should be less, or the sugars should be less. The least amount
Well,
of
they
sugar.
say no
the better
sugar
it is.
added. That doesn't mean that there isn't already sugar in there. So you gotta think about some of those kinds of things. But as I wrote my column, I always wrote about dieting in January.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Well,
it's
that's when
a
everybody.
new year,
Yep.
and we're all going to be so svelte at the end of the year, that we're going to be a new person, and that's when we always make those decisions.
Yes.
And
We start our exercise classes,
But-
but we say we're going to.
but I always made a comparison about, like my grandparents, they
didn't need it.
raised all their own food.
Yes.
They made whatever they wanted, and I'm sure someone would say, well, they didn't live as long as you're living, and that's probably right. But that just happens to be.
Did you know, Angie, not to interrupt you, but I have to interrupt because I'll forget it, but that our grandparents used to have lard sandwiches? They actually would spread the
Well,
bread,
they cooked
homemade
with lard.
bread,
Yeah.
and they'd make lard sandwiches with probably a lot of salt sprinkled on it. Anybody remember that?
Well, and everything
Yep, that was
was
done.
bigger meals. As our grandparents came over, they were immigrants, and they always,
Yes.
were working
They
from
knew
morning to night, and
and
they had all this exercise, but they ate well too, because they needed that for whatever they were going to do during the next days. So it's changed that way.
Everything has changed in that way, because everything is labeled. Everything is. I mean, they will, because we we get news. What's good for you, what's bad for you. Protein.
Well, scientists
is
are
good.
constantly changing
Yes,
their mind.
yeah.
And we just get a little perturbed about that, because first, you
Because
can.
we've been through it all.
Yeah, you shouldn't eat eggs, and now they say, well,
You should
now you
eat.
could eat. You shouldn't drink coffee, but oh, now you
Now
can
it's
drink
good
coffee,
yeah.
and it's good for you. And dark chocolate, you always thought any kind of
Let's
chocolate
talk about
is
the
going
dark
to get
chocolate,
you bigger.
Angie. Don't you think that dark chocolate being good for you is good for us? I mean, that was probably the best news I've ever heard in my life.
Go down and buy those big bags.
Big bags of dark chocolate. Yes.
But I mean, if you think back, and as I was reading some of my columns that I've written about dieting, I thought, my gosh, it's like it's the same thing every year. Okay, geez, didn't I say something like this before, or didn't I write something about this before?
And you probably did because
Yeah,
it changes
just in a little different way.
Yes, everything changes.
Yes.
People change. My body's changed about 10 times over. I'm not telling you how many years.
And that's okay. and that's okay. We do want to be well, and we have all kinds of things that help us do that. But again, we're just so hard on ourselves. And especially with dieting, you think, okay, I got to drink more water, and I never have drank a
Didn't
lot
somebody
of water.
just say the other day to us that drinking too much water wasn't good for you? I don't know. I mean, I thought it was supposed to be like the best thing we could do would be drink a lot of water, and I feel like I don't know. Yeah, somebody said that drinking too much water isn't good for you. So I really don't know. I'm probably wrong.
So
on
we're
that,
getting
but
mixed messages. We
Yes.
always are getting that, and so it's like, what do you do about all this? I mean, how do you make your honest decisions about what you're going to do? And so it comes down to moderation or something. But if you give up everything, you're just an old grouch.
Yeah, I think what we've learned over the years that to eat in moderation is probably a good idea. Eat a little bit of everything. I mean, that's kind of what I've given up to do. I eat a little bit of everything. I would be honest with you though, I don't drink soda. I don't think I have ever drank a whole lot of soda. And I have found, I don't know, did you ever drink this stuff, ice? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I love that. It's, you know why? It has nothing in it.
That's 5 calories though.
Yeah, it
It's
does have
fine.
5
I
calories.
mean, you have to read the labels, people.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
and I think we do it for our loved ones. Our husbands, if they're not well or whatever, you want to be able to make sure everything is right and they have enough nutrition. But it's just the whole idea of society saying, you have to be like this.
But you
have
don't.
to be like
You
this.
can be, like we said before, moderation is probably the way to go, and let yourself have a little bit of everything, I'm guessing.
Well,
Little bit.
like when our grandparents, came to America, they were used to working from dawn till
That's right.
dusk, and they ate well because they had to have the strength to do whatever they were doing the next day.
This is true.
And
yes.
and so they didn't think too much about it. They had the protein. They always had meat. Always had potatoes. I mean, you can kind of just
Go
know
back
that.
to the old recipes because we were they made goulash in our years, or we had
gravy.
and
Oh,
gravies,
that's good stuff.
and well, in my case, my mother every Sunday made fried chicken and mashed potatoes, real mashed potatoes. That was what we had for every Sunday meal. I don't think people do that anymore. Probably don't even fry chicken. I'm not sure.
Well, the restaurants are doing pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really funny because you can go by a restaurant like say on a Tuesday night or something, and the parking lot will be full, and because everybody's gone
Because
out to eat.
everybody
So
goes
why
out
are they
to
going on
eat.
Tuesday? Yeah. So anyway, it's a changing society,
Yes.
and you know, we don't grow our food. We're going to the
You
grocery
don't grow your
store.
food out on the deck? You had tomato
Well, I
plants.
had one.
Didn't work.
Oh, not very good though. But anyway, we go to the grocery store,
Yes.
and we're generally, you know, hurried in some way. I mean, we have to fix something, or we have to take the kids somewhere, or whatever. And so then that kind of changes. That it may not be as healthy, but it is very convenient and necessary to your schedule. And
And nowadays,
so how do you change that? You know, how do you?
I don't, and people don't eat a meal together too much anymore because the kids are all in sports, and or many families anyhow have a lot of sports, so they're practicing right after school, and they don't eat dinner together. And I think there is something about having a meal together that will
Right.
be good for everybody.
The thing is that you know, we all have our favorites. It's funny because you know, you're going buy groceries and you find yourself buying the same thing every week. You say,
Yeah.
I'm just eating the same stuff all the time. Maybe I should do something else. But then when you start thinking, well, I'm going to look up some healthy recipes and I'm going to make them. Well, it costs you a fortune. I mean, I tried
Nowadays
that
it
for
does.
a month. Oh,
Buy a dozen eggs. It's like $4.99 for a dozen eggs right now.
yeah, well,
You
that's
know.
not. That's
So.
what are you gonna do? That's it. At least we can get them.
Well,
you know,
this
you
is
never know about that either.
Right, we never do know about that.
But you know, our doctors say, well, you know, make sure you get your exercise. My kids always say that. Now, Mom, you just get out there and walk, whatever it happens to be. Going up and down the stairs, that would be good too. Although, you know, my knee is killing me, so
And so you don't
I
do
could maybe
that.
go up the stairs a little
you
bit,
couldn't
but
get
not down
the stairs. I can remember a physical therapist. Maybe it was after my hip. I don't remember which time or just exactly when it was. But she was talking about getting down on the floor, and you just have to. Maybe it was my doctor, and my doctor's off. Just get on the floor and do this and that. And I looked at her like, "You're kidding, right?" Once
Might
I get
never
on
get
the
up off
floor,
the floor.
I have to get back up off the floor, you know. And of course, she was a younger doctor, so I mean, I think that these are all truisms for us in our time, and certainly with many others out there. So you just have to kind of find what works. There are chair exercises one can do, and if you do them, you know.
Right, you have to be motivated. And
You have
okay,
to.
so if you go on a diet, you generally start thinking about exercising. And I guess if you just did a few of them, at least
You'd
once
be doing
a day,
something.
yeah,
And you'd feel good about yourself,
Yes, I
right?
know, and I always think, well, you know, I have to really dedicate myself, you know, because, you know, you want to stay alive, right? So, you want to keep yourself in a fairly fit condition, and you know when you should be doing that. I mean, we know.
I find out, you know, what is kind of funny and what I remember from years ago. I used to actually own a Curves for women. Do you remember the Curves for
Yeah.
women? Well, I had a Curves, and it would amaze me when people would come in and they'd sign up. They'd come in January, and they'd pay for a whole year in advance. You never saw them again. It was like they decided they did what they were supposed to do, but they never came back. And you'd be surprised at how often that happened, that people would just sign up and then never go. It was like, okay, I did what I was supposed to do. But you know, with those, if you're gonna join a club or something, you're probably best to then follow through and do something with it.
Yeah, because you know, we're our own worst critics. You know, we look at ourselves in the mirror and we say, you know, what the damn hell are you up to? You're gaining weight and you should be, and you better do something about it. You know, that's that person in there that's got more guts than you. But it is hard to stick with it, or
It is.
you do lose, and then all of a sudden, you're gaining it again.
That's
I don't
because
know.
you followed a certain diet. I mean, that's another thing I can remember doing years ago with my sister. We were on a specific diet. It was great. We lost weight on it and everything, but it wasn't 6 months later, now we're gaining weight again.
Yeah.
So it just, I guess it's stick-to-itiveness.
Well, yeah, and the other thing is, I think, your body
changes.
processes the
Well,
food
this is true.
differently.
This is right.
And it's
As
probably
you
the
get
wrong
older,
food,
right?
but it processes it a little differently
Yeah.
as you get older.
Mine decided to hold everything, so I'm just saying, I don't know, but it's like, there's no way you're gonna get thinner, Donna.
Well,
It keeps screaming at me every day. That's it. That's where you're gonna stay.
It's funny because my grandmother used to worry about us kids when we were small, we were thinner. I mean, you have to have some weight on you. They always said, you have to eat something so that if you get sick, you're not gonna. It's not gonna hurt you too bad because you've got all this extra little weight,
Yes.
that you could lose, and
But that was that's how they grew up, because they didn't have as much as even what we had.
right.
And so I think it was important. That was more important in those years, to have a little meat on your body. And you know what, even women in the movies and all, if you look back at all the old movies, you see all those, you see the old dancers, they all have, they have weight on them. I mean, if you look at well, I'm thinking about the ones in black and white that I sometimes use, but those, the 30s and 40s, those
Right.
women, and it was considered okay. Now they don't, it's a whole different world, which is not good either. I mean,
Well,
you shouldn't-
it's weird because sometimes you just are maybe watching TV or something, and you walk to the refrigerator and get something out of that, and get back to the chair, and it's gone in a flash, and you wonder, did I eat that already?
Yeah.
I mean, what? How does that happen?
It's a
I
little
mean,
bit of nerves, don't you? When we,
I don't
we
know,
eat
but I mean, it's just
nervously,
like,
maybe.
well, they say to eat slower.
Yes.
Well,
Like you
I've
should
never
take
been
a.
a slow eater. Oh,
No, you
I
are
mean,
a fast eater.
I know.
Okay.
I really admonish myself. When I go out with my friends and everybody's just still putzing around eating their lunch. And I'm I'm all done with it.
Well,
And I've always been like that, and I don't know why, but I mean. It takes so many chews or something. What they say, what is it?
chew something 14 times, or
I don't know.
or something like that. But I do think it's maybe how you were raised and how many siblings maybe you had. I can remember at our table I had 4 boys and a girl, and we would sit down at the table and I make like chicken. I can remember this one event that I did have a really good chicken, and it was all, I cut it all up in slices. It was fried chicken sitting in the middle, and we had one of those. At those years, you had the turntable.
Oh, yeah, right.
So I had one of those things, and number one son had taken. There were like 2 pieces left, and there's like 4 of us left to eat, and we're all looking at Mike, going, Mike, you need to put some of that chicken back. Well, boys,
But
you had
growing,
boys
yeah.
too.
Yes,
They were
yes.
growing, but my boys were like really skinny.
And you want everybody to be happy
Yeah.
and eat what they like. You don't want them to gag at the table.
Well, I did when my mother made liver and onions. My mother could cook. This woman could really cook well, but she couldn't make liver. It was horrible. It was like shoe. Like she might have
shoe
just,
liver,
she
yeah.
could have cut off a tongue of a shoe and given it to us, because that's what it tasted like. Everything else she cooked was wonderful, but her liver was bad.
Well, and there's regional dishes. I mean, I
True.
come from my dad's family was Italian, a lot of
Oh,
pasta,
Italians eat well, don't
sausage
they?
and
Yes.
everything. And my mother was Russian,
Oh yeah.
and they always made big beef things. I mean, and a lot of food. They always put out a lot of food, and so now that we're by ourselves, we have to just cook for ourselves, or we don't even cook. I
No.
mean, but we have to prepare just for ourselves. So you think, well, okay, I'm going to get something real simple,
Right.
and it's not necessarily going to be
Could
a
be good.
salad.
Right. So you go, but nowadays what they offer, you can go to any of the big stores and you can get anything you want. You can get
meal.
a complete meal. You can get prime rib and a baked potato. You can get meatloaf. You can buy roasted chicken if you want the whole. And we've done that where we've kind of shared it, because when you're in a 55 plus community, sometimes we get together and just share stuff like that
That's right,
with our glass of wine and our chicken.
Yeah, I think we don't want you to get too upset about dieting. You gotta
Right.
really think realistically about it, and just be kind to yourself because we get the self talk and we can really punch ourselves in the gut.
And you know what?
I mean, by
You're
being mean.
Right, and you're okay the way you are, and take everything you hear with a grain of salt.
Salt, that's for sure. Well, we're so happy that you joined us today, and remember to leave us a message if you like,
Yes.
or
Thumbs up or
thumbs
subscribe.
up that you like us. We love you.
Subscribe to us, too.
That's right. And
We're counting on you young people, too.
that's right. And Donna had suggested a little bit earlier that we go out for lunch.
Yes, I think we should do that, Angie. Let's just turn this thing off.
I mean, what else can we do?